Okay, welcome you all with love, and we start a prayer of the merging of the heavens and earth, and really the heart and mind. And we are talking about Chokmah Halev, the merging of the heart and mind, which is the bigger wisdom. Parsha Chukat is key to understand that, but let's start with the prayer. L'shem Yakud Kudusha Brihu Ushinate Bi'ilo Ar Imalaihed Shem Yukid Bavavke Yuda Shalom B'Shem Kuzrael Kolam Amen. So the beauty of Parsha Chukat is it requires faith. People are given an instruction that is paradoxical and you can't really understand it. It's like, what's going on here? So it's about the red heifer. You burn the red heifer. Those who burn it and prepare it become impure, and those who touch it, who have previously touched death, become pure. So we're already with the paradox. You have the same event. Some of the people are getting impure and some people are getting pure. It's like, okay. And here's the message. Primary message. Then we have lots of secondary messages. The primary message is we have to have faith. The most important part of spiritual life, is having simple faith in the truth. And the truth is there's only God. So to experience really to have faith, we also have to know some level of truth, to have that inner experience of truth. And then that affects how we're seeing the whole world. It was very deep to me because as I was preparing for the Parsha, I realized one more day before I finished my 26th time rereading of my book that's coming out, Into the Nothing, that at the end of the story, there is only faith left. Faith in the truth. And I'm going to call it simple faith because it's not dependent on miracles, philosophies. It's only dependent on faith of the truth that there's only God. And then I'm reading this Parsha. This Parsha lays it all out. It's exactly what it is. You have a situation that doesn't make any sense on the outer level. So that doesn't mean you give up and don't try to think about it, because actually in the process of thinking about it, we go to a deeper level of understanding. But let's look at the word faith for a moment. If we have faith, which is what I'm talking about, everything that happens to us is seen through the eyes of faith. So something's difficult, and we say whatever God does is for the best. That's a statement of faith. And we choose to understand how to grow spiritually from that, how to go to the right understanding, right, so we can grow spiritually, not say, oh, poor me, and go into grief or whatever. It's like, no, it's perfect. I don't understand it, but I'm going to look at it and see how I can grow from it. So simple faith brings us, in essence, to a way of life where we see all of life's events as a gift from Hashem, as a gift from God to help us grow spiritually. I mean, how cool is that when we really look at what's going on? I mean, could there be anything more profound? And it's this teaching which is mysterious. Not even King Solomon could figure it out. Okay? So the key then, pure faith. What's that faith in? In the truth that there's only God. Except we have to know the truth, and that's why we live the way we do, and we meditate, and we pray, and we do our prayers, and we study the Torah, and it's like, I can get a little deeper into this. So that's the key message of the whole thing. It's actually the key message of the spiritual path. It's the key message needed for liberation. Okay? Devikut Herut. It's the key message. So, we start with that profound message. Now, there's a few more things that happen in this parsha, but that's the first thing, is that paradox. And what's also interesting is it takes place, the burning of the red heifer takes place outside of the temple, in a sense, complex. It's outside, so even more kind of controversial in that way. So it is also faith, I'm going to say the eyes of faith, that helps us see the dance of divine in all creation. Because it is a way of seeing the world that kind of opens up our eyes. So just stay with that meaning of faith in that way. One of the things that began to happen to the people in the desert, and we'll see the stories in just a moment, is they didn't have faith. So after, this is like right before they're entering the land, we got 39 years about ready to enter, and Miriam dies. And it's said that she died and receives a divine kiss and merged with God. But Miriam's well, which is a rock that they carried around since the beginning of this journey, no longer gave water. People didn't have faith. They didn't have faith in God. They didn't have faith in Moses. They didn't have faith in the whole purpose of what they were doing, and they didn't really have faith in the Torah. So they come, they're all upset, and they come to Moses and Aaron. And God, previously, 39 years ago, God says, hit the rock with your staff, okay? But this time God says, speak to the rock. Oh, that's an interesting thing. But somehow, Moses can't quite find the rock, and then he finds it, and he doesn't speak to it. He gets angry at the people, and that means even though he's the most humble, he still had some anger, still had a little pride, and he hits the rock twice. And yes, and water does come out. But God says to him, and really to Aaron too, because you didn't act with full faith, we're talking about Moses, right, and Aaron, and you hit the rock rather than talk to the rock, you and Aaron are not going to be able to enter the promised land. Because you didn't follow what I said. Because if you had simply spoken to the rock and it created water, people would have learned something. It would have deepened their faith. Instead, they saw your power. So it created the illusion as if you were doing it rather than it was an act of God. So you didn't deepen people's faith in God. Big message. And truly a big message today is that how do we live in a way, how do I live in a way, in a sense, to deepen people's faith in God? It's like, wow, Moses, Aaron, neither gets to go in the promised land. We can speculate the reasons for that. Maybe it just wasn't time, because if he had gone into the promised land, he would have been the Messiah, and it just wasn't time. I'll leave it like that. So that's the next part, okay? So Miriam dies, this test of faith is there, and even Moses fails it. Keep in mind, we're always being tested. And that includes even Moses, the most humble. Okay? So now we go to Mount Hor, and it's time for Aaron to leave his body, and it's done in a very beautiful way, and the whole group is seeing him. And I've actually been there, and so Aaron is changing the vestments of the priest, and somehow they find a little cave where there's a bed there, and Aaron lays down, and he too receives the kiss of God. Okay? Nesikat Devikut. He receives the blood and leaves his body. Moses does get a request. He says, I would like to leave my body that way too. That sounds, this is good. Okay. But people got panicked again. It's like, we had that cloud under this cloud that followed Aaron around. We were protected. And so they got panicked again, losing faith. And this time fiery serpents, poisonous fiery serpents came again to bite the people. And then they realized, oh, we forgot. And so they went, please, we forgot the truth here, that God's running the show. And Moses said, fine, make a serpent out of copper, nechoset, and serpent is nahash, and put a pole, wooden pole, which is nes. And all those who are bitten, all they have to do is look at the copper serpent and they will be healed. Now, that's again one of those Chukat type situations, because what? A serpent? That's an idol. What's going on? Incidentally, side fact, as a doctor, I can't help not noticing that the pole with a single serpent around it is the caduceus, it's the mark of the healer. I saw that in Greece, whereas in my cover of my book we have the full 3 columns. So, nevertheless, they look on this, and so we have the paradox. Well, what's going on? Well, when they look at it, they have to look up towards it. They remember God. And remembering God, the healing comes. Okay, and the power of God. And they return to faith. That's the key. So now, Miriam has left her body, divine kiss. Aaron has left his body with the divine kiss. We've had 2 rebellions in getting people returning back to faith, about water and then about poisonous snakes. And the march continues, and they're confronted in a few different ways, but basically Sechon, the giant Sechon, okay, and Og. And they defeat both of them. Moses actually defeats Og, the final giant. Og is the one that came, hung on to the ark and survived the flood. Okay, so he was the last of the great giants. The speculation, based on what they think they found Og's bed, is that he was at least 18 feet tall. That's a good big giant. Moses defeated him in hand-to-hand combat, and in the Parsha it actually says, "Don't worry about the armies." It didn't say that. It just said, "And you will, don't be afraid of Og. You will defeat him." So Moses had faith that that was going to be the case, and indeed he did get defeated. So now they've are about ready to cross over, and it is time for Moses to leave his body also. And he leaves with the divine kiss. And nobody knows where he was buried, and for the reason, of course, is they didn't want to make that a place of worship rather than focusing on Hashem. So we have this play of faith running throughout the whole story. Again, the word is pure faith, faith in the truth, and that truth is there's only God. The big message here. And just because we don't understand a situation, we can't figure out the logic of a situation, doesn't make it not true. So that's the key here. Faith in the truth that there's only God. May everyone be blessed with the power of this faith in your life, that there's only God, and no matter whatever God does is for the best, even if we don't understand it. Shalom, shalom, shalom. And now you're invited to go into meditation.